The key topics of the event include investment policy for the regional development in China, investment incentives for the projects with significant investments, the experience of the investors who are working in Rivne region, and the development of Mabler cluster of Rivne region. Apart from that, online there are lots of people who joined us, the listeners who joined us from different regions in Ukraine. The translation of the event, the broadcasting, is going to be in 2 languages, in English and Ukrainian, in YouTube and on Facebook. UkraineInvest Talks Rivne has been organized by the Ukraine Invest in Ukraine together with Rivne Regional State Administration, and I'm welcoming the head of Rivne Regional State Administration, Vitaly Koval. Welcome everybody, good afternoon. It is really interesting for me. There are lots of people here today who know what does it mean investment in Rivne region, and there are so many investors and so many companies and stakeholders who are investing in the regional economy. It's really nice to see that there are lots of potential investors who joined us today physically here in the room, and also lots of people who joined online, and they can see the investment climate in particular in Rivne region. So I would like to welcome everybody in the hospital Rivne lands and start the presentation. You can see our first slide. Probably this is the most famous brand of Rivne region, the Tunnel of Love. It is not a coincidence that the Tunnel of Love has been chosen to start the presentation about the Rivne region. We want to show that Rivne region is very beautiful, and we're quite focused. We're focused as this slide, as you can see at the end of the tunnel. So let me start with the numbers, with the figures. You know, statistics is really hard to fight with. By the accumulative process, during the last 28 years, $134 million has been invested as the FDI in the Rivne region. As of the 1st of October, as of 1st of September, we have the number which is $400 million, and I think it's a really good, nice figure. Up to the first half year of 2020, we had plus 26.6% in the capital investment. We can see that the investors are coming, investors are investing basically in the economy of Rivne region. And it is not the speculative capital, it is the real capital of the region. As of the September 1st, 2021, the export of goods has increased by 34%. The export-import ratio, it is really interesting because during the previous years we generally had the this index on the level of 1.39, 1.4. Right now we have got 1.24, which is a little bit lower. However, this is due to the inputs of equipment by the investors, by the companies of Ukraine. And we can see that 80% of the export is actually going to a very perspective but very demanding market of EU. Several years ago, in 2019, we have, my team and I, we have figured out the main directions of the regional development. So we have chosen the smart specialization as the most important thing. So we decided to focus on wood processing, on IT sector. The third is the food products and advanced agricultural processing. We believe that the value added is the most important thing in terms of the agriculture. The next thing is logistics. Of course, for the logistics, the geographical location of Rivne region is a great thing, and therefore this is a great priority for us. We also are looking at berry farming. Why do we focus on that? Because the majority of farmlands, if we look at it, they are in the primary state, so no one have been using it till right now. If we look at the with standard farming cultures, and no one used fertilizers at this land. Hence, this farmland is very good for organic farming and for berry farming. As of today, we decided to focus in terms of the resource potential on wood processing. Here on the map, you can see that we have got 113 cubic meters of timber, which is basically represents that 40% of the total area of the region have been covered by forests. This is the indicator that we have from our preceders, people who were here before us, are ancestors, because they have been thinking about the future and they have been growing this forest. And we know that in order to have this amount of timber, in order to have this amount of wood, we can definitely grow the trees for about 80 years. And so we think that right now, thanks to everything that have been done before, we can fully implement the regional potential. If we look at the general indicators, 47% of the plywood, the total plywood in Ukraine, have been manufactured in Rivne. If we look at the 17% of all sawn wood, it's also in Rivne region. The only matches factory is also located on the territory of Rivne region, and all those indicators are going to be growing and they're going to get better. Kindly turn the slides. The example of a great transformation and approach to the production. In 2019, we had a little growth in terms of furniture industry. The next year have been a pandemic year, and we can see that the growth fell a little bit just because it was a hard year. Right now we can see that we have got 63.3% in growth for the furniture industry. That's huge. And if we look at the indicators for Rivne region, we have got one of the highest indicators for Ukraine in general. Today we're going to be talking about the cluster system, but we understand what is cluster system. This is definitely the synergy between the government officials, between the academia, between the industry, because these are the component parts that influence the ecosystem in any particular cluster. You can see on this slide the representatives who are working very good, and many of them are here right now. We have started in 2019. On this picture we can recognize ourselves. Some people have been younger at that time, and some people were just really had lots of energy to start. Here you can see that we have signed the memorandum of understanding with the really important investor, the Kronospan. Next, we have signed the memorandum of understanding with a great company, Knutsen, who started to build a factory on the territory of Rivne region. Then we also had Then we also had other important meetings. In particular, we had the recent meeting with the investor on new foaming facilities, and we had lots of people coming, lots of people, investors from different countries of Europe and US. They came and they participated in the event, so we could see that based on the invitation of the existing investors, the potential investors came to the region. So at this moment, when some investors still continue to work, the others continue to invest, so the development is ongoing. Later, we also, you can see on this slide that we have made a strategic session when we have discussed the future steps. This was, in fact, the development of the roadmap, so that we can understand where we're going. Why do we need it? How will we do this? What steps should we take? We have decided it during this strategic session. We have adopted the approach that we should take. And when we're talking about the synergy with the academia, you can see that we have started the training centers, the practical training centers. During the last few years, there have been 20 of such training centers that were open. What is the difference between the general vocational education center? This is very practical. They use the practical approach where the students are studying, and they can study in modern equipment, and later on when they come to the, in fact, to the job, they can see that sometimes the equipment is worse at this place where they work. You know that the average percentage of share of students of vocational educational facilities, there is the error on the slide. In general, for Ukraine, the average for Ukraine is 24. However, for a Rivne region, it is 41% of the graduates of the vocational schools who go immediately to employment. For Denmark, this indicator is even higher than 70%. So I think this is not just the opportunity for people to not just find the job, but immediately find the stable job. We want people to stay here in Ukraine after they graduate from the university. The next step, and I would like to thank separately to the people's deputies, to the MPs, particularly from Rivne. Thanks to them, we have a new page in our history. This is the opportunities for the industrial parks. Everything that have been before, I think it has been an insinuation. Right now, thanks to the new legislation, we finally can invest in the development of industrial parks. As of right now, we have got two industrial parks registered in the Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine. There is 120 hectares not far from Rivne, and the first private industrial park in Ukraine, created by the company Rivne for 84 hectares, have been also registered in the Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine. Once again, you can see that we have got the manufacturing development increase 7.7%. Plus, in logistics, this is 19.7%, in real wages, 15%, and the income and the revenues in the budget have also increased drastically. So we can see that the region is generating the income and is heading this income to the national budget of Ukraine. Also, we can see that the communities, the territorial communities, they also raise important the last but not the least slide, and generally the whole philosophy, I believe, not only of our team, but also of all investors or companies working on the territory of Rivne region, is Rivne region the territory of equal opportunities. It is our aim, it is our main objective to create equal opportunities, the transparent environment on the territory of Rivne region. Thank you for your attention. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Governor. We will later come on and talk with you in the form of dialogue. I'm welcoming the Director of UkraineInvest, Sergei Tsipkach. Hello, everybody. I'm also greeting everybody, dear businessmen, dear Governor, all participants of our discussion. Today, as I have been multiple times in here, and at every time, it is really nice for me to be here in Norwegian, because every time we're talking about the concrete things, about concrete achievements, about particular things. And right now, we have an opportunity to create the great furniture cluster with high capacity, so that we can finish up this closed cycle of value added, because we first start with the raw materials, with the components, and then we're going to the ready product. It is a very important discussion that we will continue later today. Right now, I also would like to stop on the whole Ukrainian indicators, so that you can see what is going on the territory of Ukraine in general. Just a second, please. What is going on in the macroeconomic indicators? There are several factors that I'm going to stop on. First, Fitch, the international agency, provided the forecast in terms of the development of Ukraine. It's B positive, which means that we are heading in a positive direction, which is really important and really good. This is really good, because this attracts the attention of investors for our country, and this is also something that reflects that the government of Ukraine is going in the right direction as well. One more important indicator that I would like to tell you, this is the volume of our international reserves, the gold reserve, which is out of today 36.1 billion of US dollars. So we haven't seen the indicators like that during the past 9 years. This is a really high indicator, which is showing the stability of the economy of Ukraine when the country works, or how it works with the international organizations and international institutions. Next slide, please. As of the FDI in Ukraine, as of the first quarter of this year, this is 51.7 of accumulated billion US dollars of accumulated. During this first part, we could see the growth that is equal to 1.47 billion, and we have got the focus that according to the second quarter, the positive indicator with regard to FDA is going to be 2.7 billion US dollars, which is what is really interesting and attractive, is that the vast majority of the foreign direct investment is manufacturing. We believe that we should raise this indicator, and this is one of the reasons why we gather here today. As of the countries that are working with us, there are some technical issues today, the microphone, and I went a little bit forward, wanted to show one slide, probably not going to work this way. Okay, let it stop on the previous slide. I do remember the following slide, so I'm going to continue talking just according to my memory. I would like to stop a little bit with this presidential initiative, the law of Ukraine on support significant investment. You know that the Ministry of Economy have started the legislation procedure, and you can right now address the ministry with the applications. We have currently received 26 applications for 1.9 billion US dollars. The furniture cluster can become one of the key players, and we are heartily inviting all companies that are working as a part of the furniture cluster to apply to us, request support, and we will be happy to do that. As of today, we can also see that the half of this investment is coming from Ukraine. The half is going to be foreign investment. Hence, we are also inviting for the cooperation between Ukrainian business and foreign business. As of right now, we have developed a program. It's going to be fully presented in October, which is going to be called Make in UA. And today we're going to talk about Make in UA in terms of the furniture cluster. This is one of the things that is a regional focus. It is really important for us that every region of Ukraine will select a certain focus for themselves. And we will try to help every region to find the partners, to find the markets. We're going to work together with our colleagues on that, and everything is going to should be based on analytics, so that we need to talk about the potential, but every region should provide particular ideas, specific things that, for instance, what Rivne does, the furniture clusters is super idea, and we can see the indicators, we can see Hotkus, we can see Kronospan. Those are foreign companies that started to work on the regional market, and they are developing, and so we can see that their initiatives, they are working. So we're asking everybody, if you can see how the logo looks of the program, the logo that we have developed, and we will continue to work with these programs inside the country and inside every particular region, so that we will look for the particular focus, specialization of the region. So the beginning of this work is going to start regional level, and on the level of Kiev, we just provide the support, and we also provide the cooperation of the region with the investors in the world. If we can see that Make in UA in Rivne can focus on furniture cluster, then correspondingly we will work with the Scandinavian countries, with European countries, with bigger furniture manufacturers in the world who can be interested in the raw materials or the plywood or the chipboard, the materials that they need for furniture manufacturing. We have talked about it with the governor. We have talked with several people. There is an interest in this regard from the side of different stakeholders, and I hope that we will be able to present the outcomes of these talks at the end of the year. For instance, right now we are working with the US, with the United States of America. As of right now, we have got only small data. As of 2020, the SMB of US who export to the Persian countries, they have exported the products for 350 billion US dollars. If we look at the Eastern Europe, it's just 1.6 billion. So we need to work a lot in order to reach our American partners, because we have got the cooperation in terms of military, in terms of political cooperation. However, in terms of economics, we need to enhance and facilitate our cooperation. We can see that according to the estimates, the annual capacity for the American manufacturers to export to our countries is 190 billion US dollars, which is really huge. So yearly on the annual basis. So we can see that up to 10 years, we are talking about big numbers. This is something that we can export to them. If this can be for the next 10 years, this can be 19 billion every year. These are huge numbers. This is something, the potential that we should develop, and we have started to develop it today. And I'm absolutely convinced that we have the future of the country as the really big, important business hub, manufacturing hub for Europe. And therefore, we need to look at significant investment, about up to 50 million, etc., the big ones. And of course, we need to also focus on industrial parks, and the Legislative Act 44/1 have been supported, and we're really happy for that. So now we have got the foundations that the system will start to work up, because from now on, from $2 billion is going to be foreseen in the budget of Ukraine for the support of industrial parks. If we talk about industrial parks, if we are talking about the initiative of the president in terms of the state support for investment projects, now we can see that this program, I believe that with these initiatives, the program making in Ukraine is going to work quite effectively and really fast. I would like to pay your attention, all people who are present today, to this, and all guests who are listening to us right now. We're going to work in Kharkiv in just a few weeks, and we have been in Odessa recently. And for me today, it's a huge pleasure to talk about the furniture cluster with most important representatives, the business representatives, representatives of those companies who work in Ukraine, who invest in Ukraine, who provide the foreign currency in our beautiful country. I'm greeting everybody with the beginning of this beautiful event, and I'm wishing you to have a productive day. Thank you, Sergey. Thank you for your visit. Thank you for your support, because truly in the partnership with UkraineInvest, we have been working quite successfully. And I'm moving to the next participant, the People's Deputy of Ukraine, Alexander Kovalchuk, to say the word. Hello, good afternoon, everybody. All people who are watching us right now, who are listening to us right now. It is truly a pleasure that such events are happening in Rivne region, and it's not that the other regions are inviting us, but we are in our region that have invited us today to participate in this event. And so we'll be talking about one of the three most important directions of development. This is the furniture cluster. We unfortunately do not have the diamonds, we do not have the oil, but we have got a really important resource, which is the timber forest, and we have everything necessary so that the cluster can develop. I'm asking myself, what are the ingredients that we should put in order for the cluster to develop? And I think that all of the ingredients, all of the components that we need, they are all here. We have them all. The strength of the President Volodymyr Zelensky includes the legislative power, the biggest fraction, the executive power, and of course the government. And the programs that are acting today in Ukraine, these are the initiatives that we have supported all together, and where we are all putting our efforts so that such events like we are talking about today will happen. I have a dream, and this dream has I have had it for several years, and I do believe that with the support and help of all people who are present here today, and I believe that with your help, I can make my dream come true. I want it until 2030. The Rivne region would receive would receive 1.9 billion US dollars in terms of the furniture industry, and I wanted at this time the region to have 10,000 jobs. As we could see the numbers, the statistics today, we will probably be able to reach it way before 2030. It is really nice for me to see that right now we're talking about the cooperation between executive programs, about legislative programs, that all together by uniting we are creating the environment where every company, even small company, starting from chipboard manufacturers, the plywood manufacturers, we are creating the environment, the conditions so that they would invest in regional economy. Unfortunately, I cannot stay with you for quite a long period of time, so I would like to apologize immediately, as I have to be in Kiev today and present you another event, and I will definitely present at the level of the capital today that what is going on with the furniture cluster there in Kiev. I also would like to listen to the welcoming words of Volodymyr Partis, but later on I will apologize and will go to Kiev. So starting with the question that the majority of people who are probably interested, I would say this is the issue number one. The issue number one after the people who work in the processing industry. At the moment when you build a factory, you know, the first issue that will come is the raw materials. I know many of you personally. I perfectly understand that if right now, what I mean by right now, this is this moment when there is the president who wants to do something, when there is this unique composition of legislative and executive power. If we right now we're not going to make the changes in terms of the legislation for the market of timber, I have to be really sincere with you. If we didn't do it right now, it's going to be really complicated to work. You know that our forestries have been provided the timber to you for the past few years, and I want to be absolutely sincere. They have not been developing in the right direction. We are not partners at this particular moment. Therefore, right now the MPs from different factions and the legislative power, they have decided to take on responsibility and create the transparent rules, understandable rules for all participants of the market. And this would be the companies that are working in this industry, the forestries that have been working on this. And you know that it is a good question what they should do. Should they have been doing the timber preparation? But no matter what, right now we've got what we've got, and the association of the furniture industry have changed. During the past few years, huge investment have been done in the forestry industry. And we have got the companies that we want our forestries to provide our manufacturers. We are working right now on the legislative draft, on the draft of law. We have registered it, and on the next Thursday is going to be the first reading regarding the so-called draft of law on the timber market. I would like to tell to all of you, you understand that after we are going to vote on this law, which is not ideal, but it definitely changes the rules of play in this market. So I would like to ask you, please participate in providing the amendments to this law between the first and the second reading. We definitely are on your side because you are investing in the economy of Ukraine. You are creating tax. You are bringing Ukrainians back on the Ukrainian land. And I do believe that at your manufacturing facilities there will be lots of people who used to go abroad to work there. and they will come back to Ukraine and working here. Hence, being on your side, please be active, and please believe that you can be a part of all those changes that are going on right now. You have got the contact. You have got the contact details, and I would like to add in here that the Invest in Rivne company is also working with the people working in the processing industry. They are communicating with Invest in Ukraine, with Rivne Regional State Administration, and they can discuss your suggestions, your offers, so that we can discuss it during the roundtable, so that all those amendments that you will provide will be there. So please, just do not use the spam. Do not send millions of emails. However, 5, 7, 10 important elements that we will definitely implement. Please accumulate these ideas, and I'm gonna be the mediator of your suggestions, so that the forestries can provide raw materials for you. This is the most important thing, that the raw material is the issue number one right now. And the last thing, today we have heard about the laws on industrial parks, on the state support of investment projects. This is the lowering of problems in terms of power networks. No one have talked about it today, but it's also important. In any case, my personal support of Vitaly Koval, the governor, Sergei Gamberg, the vice governor, and we also have forgotten about one more problem, and this is the problem of getting the products selling them in foreign countries. The majority of companies right now are export oriented, and the export oriented companies. It happens that every time Morgan Furniture has got me acquainted with that during the first half year, and after the second half year, when you have got all the ready products that are supposed to be transported to foreign countries according to export, they just cannot physically do it. Police everybody who have got this issue, because it is not something that we can solve on the territory of Rivne region. This is something that we should solve on the level of Brussels, not even in Ukraine, but in Brussels. And in order to do that, we need to unite here right now, so that we can lobby your interests in London, in Warsaw, anywhere where you have got the representatives and partners, so that we can lobby our interests in there and solve this issue. No matter what issues, what problematic topics do you have, I'm at any time, and I hope that we're not going to talk about only about the problems, but I'm always open for you, and all people who are present in here today, they are open for you at any time. You can address us. Please talk to us about your problems, about your issues. We have not been talking about it, but I was able, with my team, to help Kronos Fund and Morgan Furniture to fight with some bureaucracy that happened in there. Unfortunately, we still have those lots of issues of such kind in our country. No matter what small issues do you have, I'm always ready to connect and participate in that. And during today's meeting of the fraction Sluha Narodu, the party of the president of Ukraine, and this issue, I will definitely tell about today's meeting. Don't forget about this important market changes. Thank you. Thank you, Alexander, for the support of the furniture industry. I also would like to give the word to Volodymyr Palchis, the president of the Association of Furniture Manufacturers of Ukraine, and let us greet him. They have had the 20th anniversary lately, so happy birthday. This is a great great thing that you were able to achieve. Friends, thank you. I'm sorry that I have been late. I just at 10 a.m. I have been in Odessa, so I had to get here really fast. It's really nice to see right now the friends, the association members, the partners. We know the problems. You know, we all know the problems. I'm not gonna stop on that much because Alexander have greatly represented them. This is the market of timber. Yes, and this is the really and also the really important problem right now for the furniture industry would be the permits. Unfortunately, sometimes we can see the issues when some companies have to create the other companies in Poland, and when they are registered in Poland, then everything gets quite easy. And in order to transport the Ukrainian furniture to Germany, to Belgium, to other countries, to other EU member states, they have to register. For me, this looks like, you know, the indirect and improper movement of capital when we are paying the taxes in Hungary or in Poland, not in Ukraine. And I do believe that this is unfair policy with regard to our country. But good things. I would like to say that this year, we as the association, we have fulfilled our dream, because for us, in order to move the furniture industry in Ukraine, we had to make Ukraine a furniture country. There are several furniture countries in the world. All those countries, we have analyzed this issue. All these countries, they have cooperated together with the government and organized the World Exhibition, which is this Italy, Germany. Even if you look at France, for instance, this is a great country with huge potential, but furniture is not an international player. It's not a big player. Poland have self-organized. We have talked to the Polish exhibition representatives, and we came up during the 3 years to this moment when we have held the first international B2B exhibition, furniture exhibition. So this is B2B, where we didn't have the end consumer. All this happened because we had a team. We had a team that included the government, the authorities that supported us, because thanks to Vitaly, to Sergey, to the team of Rivne Regional Asset Administration, we were able to take the biggest retailer of Persian countries, which is spending $2-3 billion for buying the furniture. They couldn't come here because they're from the Arab Emirates, but they have got the Indian citizenship, and therefore the customs just didn't let them come to Ukraine. So there's there are many little things at the first glance, but really important things that do not allow people sometimes to hold events like that. The huge thing have been the 30 buyers who came from different countries and signing the contracts directly at the exhibition. It means that right now, even with this first small contract, we have been able to sign the contracts for $10 billion, and this number is growing. I know that, and some buyers who were not able to come to this exhibition, but we also launched the instrument called Roadshow, where the other buyers could see from particular industry when the companies are coming. These steps allow us to be proactive. These steps allow us to go abroad with trade missions and bring back I believe that the most important objective for us is to bring here, because until they do not come to Ukraine, until they do not see the beautiful roads, highways, tasty food, the people that are absolutely the same like in other countries, and sometimes even better than in some other countries, they will not buy. Until they come, they will not buy. So we cannot sell Ukrainian furniture in Poland. We have to sell it in Ukraine. And the summary of this year is kind of like middle summary. Is the increase in $600 billion in terms of furniture export. And this is just the beginning, just the beginning. This is the industry that was able to increase more than 62% in exports. And we can see that the development is there. It is great. It is fantastic when we are all working on one common objective. And we are not creating issues, creating problems. Instead, we are supporting everyone, each other. And I do not want to take a lot of time. We will be able to talk a little bit later. Thank you. And just right now, we would like also to ask questions to every of you. Volodymyr, the first question is to you. So that your organization has united about 300 representatives of furniture industry. They were able to move from the competition to synergy. So first, please share your experience. How did you make it? And also, we would like you to reflect on what do you think about the furniture cluster, our idea of creating the furniture cluster in Ukraine. How do you see this synergy is going to work in here? Thank you for your question. My reply is going to be based on the practical view. I have been studying it a long time ago. In Kiev-Mogila Business School, we know that the Kiev-Mogila Business School, they are talking about the clusters. And right now I can finally see it in Ukraine. They have been promoting it, now I can see it. When one of the Chile clusters have been here, our students always ask him, is it possible to have a cluster in Ukraine? Because we have got a different mentality. And he said that every time, no matter to which country you come, people asking the same question, that we have got a different mentality. How does it work? Just on the example of the exhibition, how it works, and then we'll go to cluster. The exhibition was possible because the funds, the business and government united together. So the suppliers supported the furniture businesses. Right now, when we can see that the buyers are coming, no network, no buyer doesn't want to come to one particular factory. They want to come and have their travel as effective as possible. We could see that if we are taking for about like 5-6 manufacturing sites, then it is much easier for each and every manufacturer site to sell. Why? Because for the buyer, it is just more convenient, because you can take just half of truck of chairs, half of truck of tables, and when it's geographically located well, then you can make logistics. You can create everything. You can the loading. You can end up with adding up the loading. Then everything is added up. It provides the opportunity for everybody to earn more. For example, the last big contracts that we had, which we have concluded so that the association facilitated it. These were huge projects where 6 companies participated. Starting from giants to really small businesses. And only because of that, we were able to win the international tenders when we competed with Poles, with people from Hungary, because we had those 5, 6 manufacturers. Some of them were making different types of furniture. Oh, and the representatives of small companies, they have added up their part. They've done something that the big companies couldn't do. And just by this unification, we were able to take big projects. We were able to get them, to win them. Of course, if you need to create a huge facility to build a new giant manufacturing, they know where they're going. When they're building it, they know it. However, around this manufacturing site, for instance, if we take Kronospan, our honorable member, no matter what is going on, all people are building up around them. Because when all different companies, small companies who are creating from chipboard, they are moving their manufacturing facilities closer to this big company. And then we have got collaborations with metal, with chipboard, and then everything gets really interesting for big networks because they come here, they have 5 meetings, not 1 meeting in one day, but 5 meetings in one day, because we were able to see such events earlier in Italy. When if you look in one region of Italy, all manufacturers are making chairs. All chairs, all assortment of chairs created in Italy is just in one region because it is easy. It is easy to solve issues. Everything can be solved directly within one geographical area. Cluster is the unification according to interest. Of course, it is really good for the client. If we look at the example of Italy and Poland, do we have incentives on the legislative level? I just want to understand, is it there, or is cluster is just the convenient local cooperation? Are there any incentives in Poland for the cluster members, or no one talked about it? I cannot say anything about Poles, but for us, the clusters are created only in those places where we have got limitations. If we have limitations, then the clusters are created. I do not know. I don't know about the incentives. I know that in Chile they have done incentives. They have created incentives for the vine cluster, but I don't know if it still exists right now. If we look right, this region where they are creating 40% of all chairs, 40% have been created, and there are no incentives out there. It's just they can solve their issues quite easily. The question to Vitaly Koval right now, we can see that one of the challenges for the development of investment in Ukraine is the lack of people. Is how Rivne region is addressing this challenge? What focus are you taking in this regard? Thank you. And actually, I wanted to stop on this issue in my presentation, but you know what? Training, education is the fundamental issue for everything. It is very important for the education and training to be focused on practical issues. When we're looking at the only theoretical focus, no matter how good higher education institutions are, no matter, nothing is going to happen. We have got the market, and market has got its demands. Right now, we need the experts, the practitioners in terms of wood processing, because right now we have to create it somehow. One of the instruments is the change of regional request, and we are changing the regional request in terms of specialists. We're saying that we want to increase the number of specialists that we need in particular industry, because right now we need to react to the conditions of market, to the demand of market. The second issue is the raising the quality of education. As of right now, we're talking about the training centers. Right now, we have got the highest number of vocational training centers, 25 in just a few years. What do they allow us to do? Is basically they allow us to train the student on of just for particular enterprise, particular company, without leaving the walls of the training center. They can right now. The manufacturers can have practical meetings with the students where they can teach them what they want. I also would like to add up a few words about the employment. If we look at the gas specialists that we train, the majority of them are weighted at the enterprise for the next 2 years. The next thing that is important, this is employment center. The majority of people do view employment center as something archaic, something that we do not need. However, some people think that it's just a place where people are going to get the money. However, the importance of the employment center is really hard to underestimate right now. This is the place, this is the point of growth. When we are looking at the employment market, this is something that is really important. We can say that in our city, the employment center is one of the best in Ukraine. About 12,000 of graduates for new specialties. They are going through Rivne regional employment center. So I'm definitely inviting everybody to the training facility in Alexandria. This is one of the most modern training centers with the highest capacity. You can do anything in there. You can negotiate changing the equipment, particular requirements. One more thing that we also need to work on is the school education, preschool education, additional school education. We need to figure out what are the skills, the most important skills for a particular student in school. When we can see that this kid is good in math, we need to help this kid to develop in this regard, so that it is important to raise the jobs that are related to manufacturing. These jobs should be more and more important. These workers are so needed today. And with regard to cooperation with academia, it is important for us to raise this dialogue, to continue working in it together, to increase the regional requirements, the regional request for the specialists. Alexander has said about his dream. I also have got a dream. I would say that my dream is to get Ukrainians back home, to create such conditions when the inhabitants of our region wouldn't think about moving abroad to earn money, when they can stay here at home and create value added on its land, particularly in the industry, for instance, in the furniture industry. So I'm asking everybody to actively participate in the development of the vocational training centers. There are world leaders that have opened their vocational training centers. This is a company, Śnieżka. We understand that the students who are studying with their materials, they are ready specialists that can start immediately work. So I'm inviting everybody, I'm inviting all of you, create those vocational training centers together with us, and then everything is going to be way easier. Thank you, Vitaly. Then please pass the microphone to Alexander. Alexander, you have already talked about the law on the market of timber, and you even stopped on this in detail, but where particularly are you in terms of this law, and how will it influence the industry? The stage is as follows. 2 weeks ago, we have finished up the development of the third scenario. Earlier we had 2 scenarios. They didn't satisfy the consumers. They didn't satisfy the industry representatives. So now we have got the third scenario. And right now it is satisfactory for everybody. All stakeholders are satisfied with that. In particular, we are co-authors with my colleagues. So as we have worked a little bit on this law, next it's going to be a plenary week. So it's going to go to Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine, and I do hope that we're going to vote on it on Thursday in the first reading. And in order to reach that, we need to create the flyers which we're going to pass around the people's deputies. We're going to agitate them. We're going to talk with them so that they vote for this. We do need people to come to Verkhovna Rada, to stand under Verkhovna Rada and ask people to vote for this project, ask MPs to work for this project. But this is not a strike. This is a good procedure. And then in October, we hope that the law is going to be ready for passing. As I've said, I hope that everybody will participate in this process. All people who are watching right now the broadcasting, so that the law is going to work. This is with regard to the law. Now, with regard to other initiatives, let's gather the thoughts. What are the needs that we have got right now in the industry? Maybe there are some ideas that are there in the cluster, because I have asked about what is going on abroad with clusters. The MPs generally view it really positively if there is something abroad that have been the good practices that have been in the world in the legislation, then they address it positively. So I would like to pay your attention that we have the legislative initiative, we have the will to make the changes, and if you have got ideas and something you need, I think we can achieve everything. I will look after this initiative. Please keep me informed. The members of my team are going to stay in here to work. Once again, I would like to apologize, but I do have to go to Kiev, and I'm getting this good news from Rivne to Kiev, and I do hope that you're going to be also satisfied with this event today. I would like to thank once again to all the organizers, to all participants. Thank you. Thank you, Alexander. Please give a round of applause. And I also would like to say the final word, to give the final word to Sergei Tsivkach. And also this regards this is a question about the law of Ukraine on state support of investment project with significant investments in Ukraine. Please give your view of UkraineInvest. I will be really short. Thank you for your question, because I can see that we're moving a little bit over time. I do believe that that sometimes the cabinet of ministers is going to decide if they request, if the application of the applicant conforms to the criteria, and then they will. The ministry is going to decide, and then they will pass it on to the cabinet of ministers, and hence their role is more important probably in this process. However, our role is to provide organizational and other support to the applicants when they have the aim, when they just want to apply for acquiring the state support. So when they have this idea, they come to us, they ask for our support, and we are providing free of charge the services of informing and helping them. So if you have ideas how you want to do it, what do you want to do it, please come to us. We're going to be your partners, we're going to be your colleagues, so that we can facilitate you in applying as fast as possible and getting state support. However, I would like to, for 1 minute, I would like to once again to stop on cargo transport. I remember that earlier we have stopped on this issue. That is really hard to transport from Ukraine, and lately we have participated in the huge 30th International Forum in Karpacz in Poland. I gave a speech at this session on the cooperation and we had the Premier Minister Groisman, Vice Speaker of Sejm. We had huge speakers, very respectful people from Ukraine, from Poland, and I have actually stopped on this issue. I said we are partners. We are supposed to work for the development. During the pandemic, during the economic crisis, there is no place for competition, which limits the neighbors and limits the partners. As of right now, this question was given. I gave this question to the audience, and I didn't receive the reply. So we do have the goal, we do have the objective to work closely with Polish partners and with other European partners who understand that this is definitely something that we need not only for Ukraine but also for regional development of any country, and of course with our partners in Kiev, so that we can solve this issue. And this is the role of UkraineInvest, which I believe is also important, because we are not only providing the service according to the law on investment nannies, but we are also helping investors on an ongoing basis. Therefore, we have unblocked the investment for more than $900 million during the last year, and we are constantly working on that. These issues are really important for us. We are going to continue to work on that, and we count on your partnership. Thank you. Thank you, Serhiy. Thank you, all participants of this panel. We will make a short pause so that we can change the speakers for the other ones, and we will continue with the moderation of Serhiy Tsivkach. The next discussion is going to be called Make in UA Success Stories. Thank you.
Ми починаємо нашу дискусійну панель Making UA «Історія успіху» і передаю слово нашому модератору Сергію Цівкачу, виконавчому директору UkraineInvest.
І я переходжу на англійську мову.
We can switch to English.
You can switch to English. Yeah. So, hello everyone again, and I welcome you to the second session of our meeting today, which is very important for my team and myself personally, because success stories are the best stories that promote Ukraine throughout the world. And I am surrounded by successful businessmen and businesswomen, around me. So this is a very good session specifically for UkraineInvest. And our session is being broadcasted. So this session will be seen by foreign investors, by Ukrainian investors, which is very informative for them. So we're talking today about furniture cluster in Rivne region, which is very good, it's specialized, it has potential, and it has already a proven track of development in the region. So today we will be talking to businesses that already operate in Ukraine. These are mainly businesses that with foreign investments, but with Ukrainian and international managers. So I will be referring to these companies, first of all, to make presentation about their activities in the region, and then we'll be asking questions and we'll be going into a discussion mode in order to, bring that information that is available for you on daily basis, but is not known to the audience throughout the world or in other regions of Ukraine. So our first speaker is Pavlo Peltyay, who is the executive director of Kronospan Rivne. Pavlo, Kronospan is one of the biggest investors in the region right now and has big plans for development. Could you give us more information about what you do, your plans, and then we will talk about benefits of the region and some additional views on your business. Thank you.
Okay. Hello, my name is Pavlo Peltyay, and I think maybe we will start firstly with a small presentation about Kronospan, where we are in the world and in the Rivne also. I do not take a lot of time. I try to make it very quick, and after that maybe you will have some questions, and I will ask you for your question. Okay, let's start. About Kronospan, presentation in Ukrainian, but I will speak in English. We have 59 factories in the world, 54 in Europe, 2 in Asia, and 2 in North America. And we have more than 40 factories, and more than 15,000 people are working in our factories. And also we want to show you want to show you the map how we will about our development, and why I want to show you these 2 slides when you can see that Kronospan developing not only in Ukraine, like some people try to told that Kronospan are going to Ukraine because Ukraine have a very cheap wood and something else. Kronospan also has a big developing program in whole Europe, and you can see that in 2008 we had less number of factories and activities in Europe than we have now. We also try to develop our activities in whole Europe and Ukraine, and it is also part of the Europe when we will plan to build our factories and increase our economic activity. Next slide. It is our main portfolio. We will plan to present that our production, it will be from using our production will be possible to make the furniture and also repairing work and for whole building. You can see that we will plan to produce OSB plate, the practical board, and other production which will be very useful for people, not only like production of furniture and also for the repairing work. First, our factory located in Novovolinsk. It is close to the border between Ukraine and Poland, and this factory was built and started to work in 2004. For 2020, the average number of its investments to Novovolinsk now is 392 million euros. You can see that also that how our investments in Ukrainian market are growing starting from the 2004 to 2020. And you can see also the our fees which we are paid during this period. And also for all of us will be very much more interesting about our investment to the Rivne region. Our first investment, it is a factory for practical board production. We will plan to invest 200 million euros, and we will plan to start first board production in at the end of October. And I hope in this year we start to produce the practical board. Next step, it is the OSB production. It is also 200 million euro investments. We will plan to finish our civil work and start to produce first OSB plate in I think that may be third quarter of the next year. But it is not so smooth for us to work and invest to Ukraine. You can see that we start our investment in 2018, and only in after 1 year, little bit more than one year. In 2020, we received permit for start civil works. And all this, maybe 1.5 years, we have a lot of different problem to receive some permits, to take some signs or some confirmation from government authorities. But big help for us that we have the Invest in Rivne company, which very help us to solve some problem, and the region administration, which also push for some question which we do not possibility to solve himself. And starting from 2020, we start to build in work. You can see what the place we are bought and where we can start to our building activity. It was the old factory which produced the it is a still steel production factory. It's like a ruin. Why this place was interesting for us? Because you can see close to this place we have the railroad connection, the road connection also very good, and we have the electricity, because we need for a lot of electricity for our production work, and in this place we have this as a power station. And with organized demolition process, we demolished old buildings, and after that we make the landing work and start to build the new factory. You can see next slide. It is this photo we makes 3 months ago, and now situation much better. And we will plan to, as I told before, before the end of October to start to produce first plate. Also, what? Yes. Okay. Also, very important for us, it was the ecological question, because starting from the our activity, we have a lot of question from the people who are living close to our factory, from ecological organization and other organization and people. And we closely collaborate with all these organization and people, because our target to explain that our production, it is ecology oriented. We are working in using European standards and practice, and we will plan to implement these standards and practice in our production activity. First of all, we also very precisely looking for the quality of timber which we are purchasing, because each timber must to have the FSC certificate. It is very important for us, because we must to be sure that all this timber which we are buying, it is white, not black, not like gray. It must be white, and because for us it's very important law about the timber purchasing, which discussed in this panel maybe half hour ago, before. And I think that if most of companies will have the same approach for understanding where we are buying this timber, it will be much more easy to legalize this kind of market. Also, we will plan to implement new system for ecological system which protect environment from the dust and other chemical pollution. Yes, it will be the UTVS and WESP system. It is newest system which we are, which we have in Europe, and in our factory we will plan to install these filters. Each filters costs close to the 20 million euros. And these filters will work in Rivne, and I hope that the pollution will be at the minimum. Because of, we will try, and I think that before the end of September, we install the special module which will be monitor the situation around our factory, which will be monitor the formaldehyde, dust, etc., that will be checked, and we want that this model start to work before our production activity, because we want to show for people that they do not see big difference in environment in Gorodok and close cities close to our factory at the formaldehyde and other pollution. We will try to reduce this. That we'll see that it not will be more or it will be the same as what they have before. And we will plan to install and have also a lot of problem with this point installation, with find to the best place. We have a lot of meetings, and now we finalize this topic, and I think that also will be successful. And also, as we told before, we're very interested in increase export activity, furniture export activity of Ukraine, because we will want to be like Poland, because you can see that Ukraine now have only €500 million export activity. Poland has €11 billion export activity, and our target it will be like Poland, 11 billion furniture export activity. And because of, we will plan to work with cluster project, and also we organize the first private industrial park in Rivne region. That's all.
Thank you very much, Pavlo. I have a quick question to you, because now we're talking to a big audience here. So could you just name how much you invested so far, and how much is your plan to invest, and within what period of time?
Already now we invested 170,000 million euro. First step of investment is 200 million euro, and second step is additional 200 million euro. We will plan to invest totally in PB and OSB line production 400 million euro, and the term of investments is end of the 2022.
Thank you very much. And you are like a powerful producer, you know, of this wood plates. And what is your plan in terms of the sale of your produce? Are you going to export more, or you can sell within Ukraine, and by doing so to attract more furniture producers to the region and making that furniture cluster in Rivne? So do you have any policy which will allow you to sell outside or inside, or it's only like commercial agreement that you will have with any company that is interested in your goods?
We're really interested to develop a market into Ukraine, and we're really interested that most of our production are using in Ukraine. And because of now we start to work with logistic hubs, which we also want to organize in Central Europe, in West and East, and also in West and East Europe, also organize some logistic hub where we'll plan to collect our production for furniture producers, yes, and we will plan to increase our sales activity into Ukraine.
Thank you very much. So this will enable, all companies to come to Ukraine and then get your goods at better price without that extra logistics. So now I want to move to Lorraine and Franklin McMahon. We know each other for not for a long time, but we're already something good friends. And you are very good friends of Ukraine. You do business in Ukraine since 2011. And just recently you expanded your production line in Ukraine. I was present at the opening. It was impressive. You are going to invest some millions of US dollars in your product. You already invested those money. So could you tell us about your experience in Rivne and then share information about what you do, what are your plans as well? Thank you.
Thank you, Sergey. Maybe I will start by talking a bit about what we've done in Ukraine. We started in 2011, but actually we invested in 2006. So we've been in Ukraine for quite a while. Like with Pavlo, it took us time to get started. This is with a slide, you will see our territory. We have around 50 hectares in Krasiliv, just off Rivne. And we started production in 2012. Next slide. Most of we export 100% of our production, mostly to the EU, and the last 2 years we started exporting to the US. So here you see our production facilities. We want to be as vertically integrated as possible to buy, in Ukraine and transform ourselves. So we invested in a sawmill, which you see at the bottom picture. This is our export market, Europe and the US. We have today more than 1,100 employees, almost 50% men, 50% women, and with many women in senior positions. What's our strategy is to continue to invest in the Rivne region. We're very happy with what we have achieved in the region. It's been a very complicated process. I will not say that it's been smooth. We started when we started production in Ukraine, we were selling to IKEA Russia. So this had to change very rapidly in 2014. But we managed to make the turn to Europe, where we had the rest of our customers, in Europe. We believe in vertical integration because it allows us to control quality, which is very important. Part of the issues in purchasing from Ukraine is to find the right quality. Unfortunately, there are still many things that we could buy in Ukraine, but that we import from Poland because we don't get the right quality in Ukraine. Next slide. So, but to show our success, this year our growth rate is above 50%, and we expect this to continue. This is on the basis of all the investment we've made in prior years, and the opening of a U.S. market, where we have to thank Mr. Trump for that, where the extra tariff that the U.S. has imposed on goods from China has forced all of the big U.S. retailers to look elsewhere for imports, and Ukraine is one of the possibilities. Next slide. So what are our development plan? We just finished an investment in a foaming line, which we opened 2 weeks ago, and now we are starting to renovate part of this big blue building that you see on the slide, which we want to fully renovate, and we intend to triple our revenues compared to what we have today. We are very excited by the Rivne cluster. We believe that it makes sense, to have as many suppliers as close as possible to us. Logistic costs are important. If we can reduce them, it makes a lot of sense. So we are, looking forward to working with the administration on that, because it's very important. What are, some of the things that we need? Workforce. We are dependent on the workforce. We produce sofas that are demanding from a labor standpoint, and so we need, trained workforce that's ready to stay in the region and not migrate to Europe, when for the picking season every year in the summer. So we have challenges, but I expect that we will succeed, and we look forward to the next few years. Next slide. These are what we expect. We've looked at cluster before, and we have done a lot of calculation in terms of whether it makes sense, and it does make a lot of sense. We can develop a skilled workforce. If we have investments in Poland, for example, in Poland, it's much easier to recruit skilled workers because they are everywhere. You have furniture producers in every city, several. So getting to that state in Ukraine would allow us, much more flexibility. And so I think that one of the things that we've talked to the administration about is developing vocational training, which is important because most of the workers that we hire, they've never worked in a factory before. We have to train them from scratch. They've never had to obey rules, come up on time. This is all very new to them. And if we had, workers that had, more training, it would allow us to grow faster. Next slide. So these are, the main points that we're, focusing on. One is find enough workers that, that are interested in working in an industrial environment. The second point, which is very important for us, which is the wood, which we've discussed before. We are not as big a user of wood as Kronospan, but we still need some wood on top of the Kronospan products. And that's important to us to know that we can find it at the right price. Number three, which is lack of permits for Ukrainian trucks entering Europe, is a huge issue for us. It's a problem every year because each country in Europe gives a certain number of permits, transit permits to Ukrainian trucks, and they are limited. And every year, especially in the fourth quarter, we have problems. It's impossible to, invest in Ukraine if you can't export, and if we can't find trucks, then we cannot export. So this is really an issue that has to be focused on, and I understand that the government is talking to Brussels about it. And the last point is, tax regulations in Ukraine are unfortunately not always very clear, and this is something that we have suffered from, and the administration is trying to improve on that record. I can testify that it is much better now than it was, but there are still more progress that could be made on that point. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lorraine. And I have one quick question to you. I know that you have some new initiative, which is, I understand, is a good kind of a business way for you, but it's very also important for local government and for local people, because you are planning to employ people at their homes, women specifically, which is very smart in terms of pandemic, and it's a very good way to, show Ukraine and local people that you are interested in cooperation with them, that you are going, towards them. Could you give us a bit more information about that initiative and how it's going to work?
Yeah, I think that, instead of trying to bring all of our employees to our factory, we should go to where they are. There are many women in villages that are not able to find work because they have to take care of their children. and so they cannot, you know, work in 2 shifts and get up at 4 in the morning because somebody needs to be home to make breakfast. And we want to give opportunities to these women. I mean, it could be men as well. In China, there are many men suing, but it's more rare in Ukraine. You know, give them opportunities to basically work from their homes when they want. We would bring, you know, the equipment, bring the work, and then just come collect it, you know, once a week or once every 2 weeks. And I think that that could be a very good option for these women that are, you know, that today have no way to make a living. They don't have a way to get, you know, paid for what they do. They usually maybe take care of a house and have a private garden, but you know, a possibility to actually have a job and contribute to the family's earnings, I think should be a very attractive opportunity.
I'll just add something. You know, the idea, I think, is a win-win formula for us and for the people in the regions, because in our case, we can have some distributed manufacturing. It wouldn't be possible in the case of Kronospan, given the nature of its production. But given the nature of sewing or some of the component production that we have, we can do it on a satellite or distributed basis. So it benefits us, and it's obviously also can be economically significant and a win for the people.
Thank you very much for this initiative. I think it's a very good idea, and it could be, you know, spread out throughout Ukraine with kind of production lines that can be, well, put to that kind of cooperation basis. Thank you, and we will come back to questions, and we'll come back to discussion. Our next speaker is Larsen Steen Levering. It's our friend from Denmark. We have a very good connection with Danish businesses, and I'm very happy that Hjort Knudsen, Danish company, is developing in Ukraine. Again, you're not for the first year here. You are connected to Ukraine not only through business, you know, so you know country well. And recently, again, you announced your next stage of investment. So could you tell our audience a bit more about business you do, your investments made so far, and what are your plans and the current investment? How is it going now?
It's going very well, and this Saturday we start to lift the construction on the site. So it's moving ahead like we planned, and we hopefully will have the first building closed in the end of October.
Thank you. So, about your business then. Yeah. Thank you for this good update.
So Hjort Knudsen is a family company that was started in 1977, and it's been operating in Ukraine now for the last 10 years. Next. And we are important for the company is to have clear values and to be having a very good relation with the clients and suppliers and colleagues and employees. What it was? Huh? Yeah, and like you can see, the Hjort Knudsen, we have factories in England and Poland, Ukraine, and now also one in India. In India, it will be mainly sewing production. So now it's good. And the first production in Ukraine, it was in 2010. Like I said before, it was in Lviv. And then shortly after, it was coming to Puchayev in Chernobyl region. And then it was Velika Mosta and Brode. And today, the main activities are still in Brode, and where we have expanded a lot the last 3 years and made new production facilities. And in Rivne, we are planning to build the first 16,000 production square meters till the end of this year. And in the next year, we will have a start-up on the phase 2. The phase 2 is also around 16,000 square meters in production. And like you can see on the picture, then the gray part is the first phase, and the yellow is the second phase of the investment. So totally with the social areas and the office premises and the exhibition room, it will be 37,000 square meters that will be in the new place. So it was our short presentation of the company.
Thank you, Larsen. So how much is your investment so far into Ukraine?
Into Ukraine totally, I cannot really tell you, but what I'm standing for till now, then we have invested 18 million euro.
Already
Yes.
so far. Okay.
Yes.
And you have some further plans
Yes.
for investment
Yes.
for this second line,
Yes.
which is quite big as well.
Yeah.
So all of you, all our reputable speakers here, you are present in Ukraine not for the first year, well, for 10 years and more. And you have seen a transformation of Ukraine during these years. So I would like to address a question to all of you, like one by one. What kind of difference have you seen, like from 2010 through 2021? Do you see Ukraine being developing in the right way? Do you see local government being closer to you, listening to you better and helping you more? Maybe starting with Larsen.
For sure, the local governments, they are more friendly, let's say like this, and more open to talk with.
So was it in any way a decision that you made to invest more? Was it connected to development of regulatory policy and government as well, or only your business plans?
No, it was business.
But the government was helping you on a way.
Yeah, for sure, the Rivne was chosen by the regions where we are presented today, together with the Danish management, and we chose the Rivne after the support we had from the team of the government.
Right. So the support was one of the decision kind of making points for you.
Yes, it was.
Thank you. Pavlo, well, you probably can tell us more than everyone, you know.
For us, yes. For us, it's like for me. It's I feel and see how significantly change the custom office in Ukraine. I don't know how for other companies, but we during our investment project in Rivne, we do not have any problem with custom clearance. We organize like a custom clearance of production line, etc. And it was very good that customs really help us how make it easy and quicker, and it was very good for other investments and other investors which will come to Ukraine, because import of production line, production facilities, it's also very important.
Thank you. So I just want to emphasize that this is not a promotion session for the government. It's because we do not work for local government.
Yes,
we cooperate with them. So for us, it's very important to hear like honest views. You know, what is being developed, what do we need to improve. You know, like kind of public discussion. So customs are doing better.
Customs doing better, but what we must improve it's situation in civil work market. Because yes, because the permits which we must to take during the civil work process, it's like it's a big headache. Sometimes it is we spend a lot of time for waiting some documents from guys who do not interest in it is your building activity as staying in this moment, working in this moment for these guys in nothing matter. And second point, it is our Ukrainian railroad, because it's also the terrible situation now in into the Ukrainian railroad, UZ. It's like I think that UZ still staying in 30s. Maybe Stalin is still the portrait of Stalin still staying in the cabinets. Yeah. 1930s, yeah, 1930s, and I think it's where the government must do something change and as quick as possible.
Very good point, and I know that the newly appointed Ministry of Infrastructure is doing a lot in terms of support for development of Ukrainian railways. This is a very important point, and again, the regional development heavily is dependent on central government and on kind of cross-country services. So we can see that, and so regional government can do a good job, but then we need to have some cross-country development of the system itself. Franklin, Lorraine, 2011, 2021.
Well, I'll give you the positive. I'll start from today, last week. Let me give you the positive as well as the negative, taking a cue from you, Mr. Tsivkach. On the positive, I think that context always matters. So an investment decision is much easier to make when there's a positive environment. So, that's I think, axiomatic everywhere in the world. What I see as being different in Ukraine today from 10 or 15 years ago is two things. First, a pro-business attitude on the part of the regional government, which is sincere. I think that there's goodwill and meaning behind the nice words, which there were always nice comments, but maybe there was less substance in the past than today. That today you actually get proactive pro-business action, which means a lot, because entrepreneurs by definition are results-oriented people. Secondly, I see that there are actually economic policies and programs that make sense to me. The cluster program, the industrial park program, and many other things that are legislated, which didn't exist to support major investment in the past. So I think that those are two very positive developments. On issues that need to be improved, I would mention two things. Red tape, to go to the Pavlo's comments, which is in the civil area as well as a number of other areas. The administrative processes could be streamlined and improved, become more effective. Now that I think is true in many countries. It's not just Ukraine, but Ukraine fights a special burden some of the time. And second, I would mention tax. While general rule of law is much improved in Ukraine, and I think is heading, very much in the EU direction, I think that the tax authorities complicate life some of the time. Because as Ryan mentioned, the rules are opaque, complex, subject to interpretation, and the tax authorities don't always have the same motivation as the Rivne Oblast administration. Thank you.
I mean, on tax, if we start in 2011, then the improvements is notable because at that time we could not get our VAT back. So, I mean, when you're an exporter and you can't get your VAT back, that's a death now. So that has changed. So there's been a huge amount of change, and if it was not that change, I don't think we would continue to invest in Ukraine because it was just too difficult. I mean, so I do think that what the changes in the government, the changes in the approach are making investments possible. But we want to see a continuation because there's still, I think, some ways to go to make the environment more business friendly with all these rules. I mean, when Pablo talked about customs, I want to laugh because yes, they are better than they were 10 years ago, but still, if you ask any like EU big machine exporter and you ask them for all the details we need for Ukraine, they think that we're crazy. That we need a listing of every single parts with dimensions and weight. They never have to do that, whether they export to Russia or China. But in Ukraine, if you don't have that information, you cannot pass customs. So, I mean, it's like, they think that we're in a different planet, just because we want to import like a big machine from Europe. So yes, it's better, yes, but still it's very burdensome compared to what you have to do in other countries.
Thank you. There is always the beginning with reforms, but there is never an end because you always have to develop. But yes, Ukraine is working towards that, and we have seen results. But yes, we need to pick up the pace, and continue that, not to lose the speed, which is very important. Thank you. So now I want to go one more question to all of you. We have been talking today about industrial parks in Ukraine, so which are like special economic zones where SMEs specifically, they can join this zone and they can operate. And this also very important for clusters, because when you have a cluster, you have different suppliers that they can produce different goods that are needed for the end product, which is produced by maybe anchor investor in this industrial park. So I would like to ask you, if you would have, and you have industrial park, and I know that maybe you are planning as well, and maybe other companies are planning as well. So in your ideal industrial park, who would you like to see from other suppliers in order to make your business more effective, Larsen? So that would be a good promotion, for international businesses who can come here, or Ukrainian businesses who can bring money or partners and do it jointly with you.
What I see we can have a use for, it's efficient metal production, where we can get our components for the mechanisms and the tier production, the waistliner. And then also, for sure, some electronic. We are using a lot of motors and control boards in our tiers, and there can also be a big potential. And the same with plastic. We are using a lot of plastic components also. Leather, I think it's a long way. So it will not be tomorrow. But of course, leather, it can be interesting, but it will take years.
So would you be interested in such a cluster to have those companies next to you?
For sure, it can be interesting.
Pablo, I don't know, do you need anyone,
Yes, we need. Yeah. Okay, we really need, because we really interested that it's everywhere it is a business, yes, and we were really interested also that when we have close a lot of partners, furniture production companies, for us will be also it's very good, because we will have reliable contractors. Yes, we will have less logistic expenses, and for us it is like a priority. And as I told you before, that first step it is industrial park, next step it is a furniture cluster for us.
So you would like to see furniture producers next to you?
We want to see furniture makers, furniture producers, and we are ready to maybe in next year, starting from next year, to start to work about the furniture cluster project here in Rivne.
Thank you. And same question to McMahon family.
I think that two things that would be helpful. One is wadding production, polyester wadding, and the second one is cardboard, because we need cardboard for our packaging, and whether it's transformation of cardboard or production of cardboard, but that would also be useful.
I would add that we agree with Steen. A metals component producer or plastic component producer could also be of interest.
So maybe after this session we can speak to you then direct and ask about specifications, what exactly we need, and then put it on our UkraineInvest guide, because we have a guide for investors from abroad and for investors from Ukraine, and show this opportunity. And then when they're interested, they can come to you, talk to you, and we will help you to set up jointly with local government, Invest in Rivne, members of parliament. We will set up, we'll help you set it up. So today we have talked about cooperation, we have talked about developments in Ukraine, and we have talked about the future as such. Because Rivne's future, I'm sure, it's not only about furniture cluster, but it's a very predictable future. You know, so building on that, we can think about new clusters for Rivne. We can think about new clusters for other regions of Ukraine. And we are always here to help. We're always here to support. And we will be collecting all our tasks today. All your messages will be conveyed to government, to relevant authorities, and we'll be giving you feedback. You can rely on that. So maybe just a couple of last words to investors or to businesses that watch us now.
20 seconds. 20 seconds. I think if you have a good project, then Ukraine is a good option for investment, and there is a good future to get your investment back.
I think that when investors will have possibility to push to the government, and government will have possibility to hear investors and prepare the maximum environment, yes, for investing. I think that you will see how many companies will come here and start their business in Ukraine. I think because it depends from both sides, from companies which are already here and from government. And if really want to increase number of investors, you must to change approach to each companies, not only for external, also for internal companies.
Lorraine and Franklin, your closing remarks?
You know, I think that Ukraine is a very attractive country with many people. You know, we've chosen to invest in Ukraine for export, but you know, we hope that the development of a local market would also allow us to start selling our furniture, you know, locally. So when you look at investing in Ukraine, there is a double potential. You know, the EU being next door, but also the local market. I mean, it's a big country with a lot of potential. The more foreign investment you're going to have in the country, the more the country will develop quickly, and will have an internal market that's significant.
I think that Ukraine offers great potential to foreign investors, and if I mentioned the slides that you showed on FDI, or economically significant investments, a very large percentage of the total investments were in the manufacturing sector. So I would highlight that manufacturing is particularly interesting in Ukraine from my perspective. And I think that the potential is there to be realized, and what the focus needs to be on execution. The government has fantastic opportunities and foreign investors have tremendous opportunities, but the degree of progress will depend upon the strength of the execution.
Thank you very much for this session today. This is not the first, not the last. We'll be talking about developments on a continuous basis. A couple of remarks from myself. We understand that investment is not an easy way for any country or for any region, and usually it's dependent on kind of technical level. When businesses, they come to the region or to the country and they calculate if they can make profit and how they make profit, and if there is regulatory policy or there needs to be improved. And then there is another element which is more emotional, is trust. When you meet local governments and local businesses that you will be working along with, and you look into their eyes, and then you can see whether they are partners or not. And these events are also very important, you know, for that specific element. And when today I look at local government, local businesses, if I would have investment suitcase with me right now, I would invest in Rivne, in furniture cluster. So thank you very much, and looking forward to our new meetings and sessions and conferences. And maybe Sergey.
Yes, thank you so much, Sergey. We are +1 to new investors. Thank you so much, honored guests. Thank you all who watching us. Дякую всім, що приєдналися сьогодні до нас. Слідкуйте за історією успіху і наших інвесторів, і історію успіху створення меблевого кластеру на Рівненщині. І залишайтесь здорові, всього вам самого найкращого. Дякую.